let's move on. So let's talk about what does true bypass mean. And let me breadboard a very simple effect. Let me zoom this in. This is just a very simple booster, similar to LPB, but just without volume pot. I couldn't be bothered. This is not about doing this effect. It's really about making sure that when I press the button, we hear just the guitar, and then when I engage the effect, we get the effect sound. So it doesn't really matter. This is handy if you want, for example, to have this always on, maybe. I kind of changed these values a bit, so it's not as the amplification, the gain is less than LPB. But what you essentially have for every effect is only 4 points that you really need to connect your input jacks and power to, and your effect is going to work. Imagine you have a PCB board, all your pots are on that board, for example, and all you need to connect it to the rest of the pedal and put it into the enclosure is just input, output, ground, and power. In this case, I put just 9 volts, and this is really what it is. And I hope this makes sense. So if I look at here, for example, this is one of my previous videos. You can look it up. Even here, in, out, and then I have ground, and there should be somewhere 9 volt, 9 volt. That's all you need. Everything else is within this schematic. And if I normally include this with every build, this is pretty standard. 3-pole double throw switch, input output jack, LED, and in this case it's just the direct power from your adapter rather than from a battery, but it doesn't really matter. So let me breadboard this real quick, and then I'll show you the rest of the stuff. Okay, let me get rid of this real quick. I'll need to keep this 4.7K, and I don't really mind the tolerance here. Just gonna do this real quick. Let me just it's out of the way. So input here goes into 470K. $47K. So we have 470 goes to, let me just go back, goes to 9 volts, 47 goes to ground. I'll just put it here. Okay, ground. There will be lots of wires. So 1. Okay, we need 2 going there. Did I plug in this correctly? Yes, I did. So 2 goes there. 2 3. Oh, turn it around like this. So 1 goes to 1K. And hope you can see this. I'm just getting it here. Not the prettiest of presentations, but it will work. 4.7K. Oh, this is the one, and that goes to power. And this is output. I outdid myself. This is great. Okay. So one thing we could always do if we wanted to we could, and I hope this makes sense. So this is the effect, right? Inside and outside of the effect we have this ground, and I already connected, well, I didn't connect the battery, but I'll connect it in a moment. But we have this effect out and effect in. So this would be your always on connection. So let me just plug this in. Okay, so we have out here. Goes to ground. Let me move this out of the way. And then this is input. So I connected it, right? So I connected the effect. I should have turned on my amp. Meanwhile, so let me plug in. Whoops. And you don't want anything to be touching this metal rim on the board. And it's not working because I didn't plug it in. All right, after finally plugging it in and figuring out that I hadn't plugged it into the amp, this is working. And this is really, really inconvenient if you wanted to say, see what's the difference between your guitar sound and how it sounds. You need to unplug it. And this is going to be terrible. You need to do this, that, and voila. And you can see that the difference is, it's a big difference, right, in sound, but it is really not, it's really inconvenient to do it this way, right? So let's see. Sometimes you want it to be always on, maybe, especially something like this boost might be good. If you don't have great pickups or something like that, keep it always on. But more common would be to have something like this. Well, this is one I wouldn't say more common. This is one of the ways to wire it up. And this is Hardwire Bypass. And this uses, that's why I said it's handy. The relevant, the simplest relevant part would be this SPDT. And the reason for this is that you can do this kind of, let me just leave the guitar, is that you can do this hardwire bypass where input is directly going to the switch, but it's also going into the effect. And then with one switch, you just decide, do you have effect out or you have input out directly. So you have a bypass, but it's not true bypass because you have effect connected. And if you remember, this is what you're connecting to. So in this is a particularly bad case because the input impedance is really low. So this will affect your dry sound, guitar dry sound. But for example, this is used in MXR, microamp, but that has a huge input impedance and very little effect, if any, on the input signal. So, you know, it might work and most likely it will work, but you need high input impedance. And then it really depends on the next pedal in the chain because, again, it's really impedance of this effect in parallel with impedance of the following effect. So it's not great because it depends on the next pedal, but you know, it works. And this is a way it's working, for example, inside Boss pedal where, but again, you have bypass, you have buffered input, which isolate the guitar, and you have bypass buffered output, which isolate you from the next pedals in the chain. So it's a bit different in Boss pedals, and it's electrical. But if you imagine that electrical switch being actually switch like this, that's how it would work. So let me demonstrate this, that this is actually going to work. So let me just get this plug back. Oh, I'm not going to do that because what I need to do now, let me see. I'm just going to follow, you see here, I have it here. So jack out. So we're going to connect this to output jack, and I'm going to do it on this side here. Maybe it's easier to see. So jack out here. That's done. So one side it's effect in and the jack in. So effect in, this is effect in, jack in, and I just need to connect that. And this is effect out. So I hope this makes sense. So I'm just going to go and directly connect to effect out. Here. Let me get the guitar and try this out. And it's bypassed, definitely. So let's see if I turn on. And it's working, you know. As I said, it will work with varying degree of success. In this case, it's working. There will be some tone suck because of this, just because of the effect I'm using. But as I said, it could work with greater input impedance. So this is not a true bypass, right? So this is so in order to have a true bypass, you need at least double pole double throw switch, and here it is. You need one switch for the output and one switch for the input. I hope this makes sense. From the previous example, we saw that is what the problem is. The problem is this connection here. We don't have a switch here. That's why our effect is impacting the input. So if I go here, I can see that if I have a double pole double throw, I can actually truly bypass the effect. So let's do that. Should be straightforward as well. Let me just remove everything. Okay. So output, input. Where's my... Oh, I have it here. So I'll just do it from here, right? Because you saw me struggling earlier to do this. So because it's way easier to use this switch. Okay, wires. So, and actually I don't even need to leave. So see, jack out. This one goes to one side here and goes here. So I covered jack in and jack out. I need bypass. So I'm just gonna, on this side, do the bypass. And all we need to do is just be careful. This is input side. So effect in. So that goes to effect in. Because that's what we are switching, right? And then this side is controlling the output. Goes in. Let me get the guitar and try this out. Oh, definitely engaged. And there it is. And I don't know, but did you notice the difference between when it was previous this hardwire bypass? It was definitely quieter. The guitar was less loud. The sound of bypass guitar. So there it is definitely affecting the signal, that previous one. Now this is great. This is all you need for especially for breadboarding. That's enough, because you don't really need LEDs. And in reality, lots of pedals didn't have LEDs. You won't. The downside of this, you don't have LED. You don't have the indicator. Now there are different kind of schemes that you can use. For example, you could use something that was used in Procore Rat. They also, at least in their early versions, they used DPDT, and then they used JFET and some diodes and LED to wire up this switch in a clever way, a bit more complex than this, to still achieve true bypass, but have LED indicator. There's Millennium Bypass, something that also works. I tried that out a few times myself. But having said that, I'll post these links on my website. But it would be convenient if we had something to, we had a third switch. Okay, that would be very convenient. But before that, I forgot. If you wanted to do something like A/B test, you don't need to bypass it. If you're breadboarding, you can, instead of bypassing it, you can add a second effect, and instead of that just hardwire here, you can put this wire effect in, effect out, and with a flick of a switch in one position, effect 1 is engaged. You click on it, the second effect is turned on. So you can use DPDT for A/B testing if you wanted to. Okay. As I said, like, it would be convenient if we had a third switch on our inner pedal that would handle LED, and this is where our triple pole double throw comes in.